hand positions. Now I know we've gone over some of this in our beginner videos, but I thought we would go ahead and do another knowledge-based video just to reiterate, because some of this information is pretty important and not everybody has seen the beginner videos, so I wanted to include it here. The hand positioning that we use in the beginning is pretty important. Now I'm going to lay out a bunch of rules for you, and then after that tell you it's okay to bend those rules or even break them. It sounds funny, but it's true. Really what we're trying to do is evolve our own style of playing, and we want to do that in the best way that we can. What we're doing is we're creating muscle memory in the beginning, sort of like scratching your nose. If I go to scratch my nose, I don't have to tell my hand where my nose is. I know where it is. I know how much pressure to use scratching my nose so I don't, make my nose bleed or anything like that. And so that's just muscle memory. And it's a simplification to say it's the same thing, but it is really the same thing. We just have to create these muscle memories for this instrument, or playing this violin or fiddle, whatever you want to call it. So that's important, and we want to create good habits in the beginning. And if we do that and get some accuracy going in the beginning, it's almost like we fought the battle early on and don't have to continue to fight it later. Once those good habits are established, we can kind of focus more of our attention on other things, like how we're playing the song and what we're doing to the song, not just trying to make good tone happen or accurate fingering or things like that. So let's go ahead and review, first of all, our left hand gripping the violin or fiddle hand, and we'll go over here to the overhead view. All right, a couple of really important things I would say is where we place our thumb, first of all, and that's pretty important. We want to place that thumb kind of right, not quite on top of that one finger line, but maybe just a little bit behind it, sort of in the low one area, or halfway between one fingertip and the nut, sort of back in this area. And we're going to squeeze straight across to the base of the index finger. So we've got this sort of happening here. So that's point number one, keeping that thumb in the right place. All your fingers are going to know where they go based upon where your thumb is. So if the thumb is moving, it's probably going to move your other fingers out of tune as well. Keeping that thumb in one static location is important. So point number two is all about our palm. We really want to keep that palm away from the neck. As you can see, if my palm is touching the neck, it's really hard to get my fingers onto the lines where they're supposed to go. I just don't have that stretch. If I take that palm down off of the neck and give some almost a 90-degree angle there, or an L, created with my arm and my violin neck, that increases the length of my fingers really and lets me be a lot more accurate. Not only can I stretch my fingers further, but I can drop my fingers down onto the strings and play right on the tips of my fingers instead of the flats. So really important to keep your palm way far away from the neck as possible. And that's it for the violin side of things. Keeping that thumb in the right spot, keeping your palm off the neck. If you remember those two things, you're going to have a lot higher degree of success. All right, let's review the bow grip now. Now there's a variety of different ways that people choose to hold their bow. Some people will hold it by the frog, their thumb underneath the frog. Other people will hold it by the stick, their thumb in between the hair and the stick. There's about as many different ways to hold the bow as there are people that play with the bow. So a lot of people make it work. Again, it's sort of about evolving what works for you. So I've gone back and forth. Sometimes I'll use the under the frog grip, sometimes I'll use the stick. A lot of old time players, you'll see they hold by the stick and they tend to move their hand further up. And then, it just does different things for the bow. Helps it play differently or respond differently. So heading over to our overhead view, just a quick reminder on how to grip this thing. So what we're doing is we're actually going to put the thumb on the flat spot on the bottom of your frog, and then turning that over, I'm going to extend my pointer finger on my right hand up onto the grip, and then kind of lay my finger down on the side. And then the other fingers are going to come in and extend back until my pinky finger is just floating on that tensioner screw. So what that's done for me is ensured that my wrist is turned inward, and that's a real big thing. If my wrist is flat like this, I can only turn it this much, a certain amount. But if my wrist is turned inward towards my face, I can use this range of motion right here, a lot more to work with. So having those fingers at the proper angle on the bow stick is going to be kind of the most important part. And there you have it. Quick review on the bow grips. Hopefully those camera angles worked for you and you could see okay. Again, just be really careful in the beginning to make sure you're doing things to the best of your ability and creating that muscle memory that will help you have a lot more success in playing cleanly and precisely. And like we said, after a little while, those habits will form and you won't have to spend very much time thinking about it at all. All right, let me know if you have any questions.